What is up, guys? We are now live. My name is Jack McNeil, BaseballCentral.com. Honored to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Cody Decker, at Decker6. Now, mistake me if I'm wrong, Cody, before we get into the serious topics here. Of course, I presume the interview will be extremely serious here. You used to have anti-hero in your Twitter name, if I'm not mistaken. It has always been Decker6. What inspired the change?
It was always Decker6.
That was just awful.
Started later.
Okay. So Anti-Hero, that is also part of your network here, Anti-Hero Daylight Films. When did Daylight Films come into it? I remember Anti-Hero, obviously, the Brad, you had some good videos. You got viral on Jeff's ears, and we'll talk a little about that later. But where did the Daylight Films come into it?
Well, Daylight Films was something I started for fun when I was in high school. I made a couple of movies. In fact, I released one of those movies on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and it's terrible. I made it when I was 17. And basically the idea of Daylight Films was I was really into Stallone movies and making fun of Stallone movies. So Daylight is this really awful, awful, awful Sylvester Stallone movie where he's trapped in a tunnel. And it's literally 2 hours of him just going, "We gotta get out of this tunnel!" over and over and over again. And so that was the idea of Daylight Films. It's just a joke. It's just a joke that no one gets except me, and I laugh every time I see it.
That's great. Would you say Stallone is among the worst actors of this generation, or how do you honestly feel about him?
How dare you?
Fair enough. I never got into him, so I was just I was curious there. But let's talk about the offseason here. You have just finished a very successful year again at AAA. You made some news with the films. You did some cool stuff with El Paso Chihuahuas there. Made it on Oberman. Another huge season, 27 home runs, an organizational all-star in 2014, and again back in 2010. What have you been doing in terms of workout-wise? Anything different this offseason to last, or are you at a point where you can kind of get in your groove and you'll end up hitting 20-plus home runs every season? It seems like.
I plug away. I do the same. I have a very strict routine. Every day I work out at least once. I do about an hour cardio. I ride my bike everywhere. I hit. I throw. I give a couple of lessons. I do yoga. My day is pretty much nonstop go, 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 because I hate being bored. And then when I come home, I usually just watch TV, or I watch a movie, or I mess around on Twitter and don't answer people's questions and purposely try to anger them.
And that strategy worked, and then late last night it seems like you went on kind of a question answering spree here, and one of them was about Jeff Decker, whether you guys were brothers. Now, I'm saying if you guys were hypothetically brothers, who would be the cooler brother, dare I ask?
Well, we are brothers, and two, me. I'm already the cooler brother. He's got better hair, though. He's got some serious flow, man. He's got, like, down to his ass last I checked.
Just like my brother. He's got extremely, extremely long hair, and he's actually the one who's in the Lord of the Rings. The last time I had you on the show, I pretended to be a Lord of the Rings fanatic. He's the one who actually has an Instagram account all about Arda and the whole world token, so maybe we'll bring him down here to get into it in that fashion. But you also tweeted last night. What's up?
You told me no Lord of the Rings this time.
I did, but I thought about this. I said, how can we school Cody Decker on Lord of the Rings? Obviously, I'm not the person who can do that. So the only way that would work.
I could get schooled on Lord of the Rings. I barely remember reading the books when I was younger.
Okay, we'll take that off the table. We'll take it off the table. Now, I saw a tweet as well last night. You play for a team, whoever poorly pays you. Now, this is a serious topic before we get to the other ones. Brings up the minor league. There's a lawsuit against Major League Baseball. I believe the Players Association actually went with the Major League Baseball on this one. The new commissioner, it seems like there's not going to be any major changes, at least with this topic. It says, the article brings up from USA Today in our site, talks about how basically an average player, $3,000 to $7,000 for a yearly, below the federal poverty line. Of course, players have to get a bunch of different odd jobs in the off season. Health insurance is in question. The nutrition thing, they want you to follow certain guidelines, but there's simply, for most people that aren't that first round pick, there's not enough money to do so. I guess, is there a systemic problem with the way that Major League Baseball and I guess minor league baseball treats its players? Do you think there can be reforms on that system without kind of earth-shattering, differences? So, I guess what can be said about the treatment of minor league players and kind of the services that they receive for their, playing of baseball?
Well, I guess I got to be careful with this answer, but we don't get paid enough. Period. There is no questioning that. Anyone who tries to argue that is an idiot. We don't get paid enough. We get paid very little. They've marketed it in a way to where, well, you're getting a chance to live out your dream. Yeah, but we're also not kids anymore. I'm 28 years old. I'm going to be 28 years old. And it's kind of become this taboo subject that you're not allowed to bring up. So it's kind of ingenious. I mean, I understand their part. They don't want to pay more money. Who does? But, some of us have families that we can't afford to provide for. I do not have a family, luckily. It's just me, and I can't even provide for myself. I've plenty of credit card debt, plenty of borrowing money. It's a tough deal. It really is. And, our living's not taken care of. I was in El Paso. I had an apartment. It cost me $600 a month. That's more than half of one of my paychecks. That's actually 2/3 of my paycheck.
Right.
So there goes one paycheck, pretty much to that, and I have to buy food. There goes to that. I have to pay $300 to $400 worth of clubhouse dues to my clubby every month. So they're right there between clubhouse dues and rent. That's more than one full paycheck. Way more. That's roughly $1,100. So $1,100 going to these things, and I'm getting $900 every 2 weeks. I don't get paid in the off season, so odd jobs have to happen. I had worked as a bouncer for a while. I bartended. I coach teams. I give lessons. Any odd job, kind of just to be able to fund my baseball career. And luckily I have a good family who are understanding of that and help out when they need to. But it's never a good feeling. And I hope something gets changed. I really do. Just paying us year round alone would be great. Because I heard the argument, someone saying, well, we're trying to get that they're seasonal employees. If we're seasonal employees, how come I'm under contract for 7 years? How come I'm not a free agent after every year? After every season, I should not be owned by a team then. I should be able to go and work somewhere else. But you can't. So I don't really see how the seasonal employee argument makes any sense. It's just one of those things where you can understand why they don't want to pay more, and you got to understand why we would like to get paid more. It's not that we want to be paid a ton. We just want to be paid. I just want to be paid fairly. That's all. It's a tricky deal. There really is. Seems like there's no real right answer, just readily available.
Well, and you talk about the seasonal stuff. It's not like your work really ends after the season. I mean, like you said, you're working out.
That's when the work actually starts. I have to work out. I got to spend all my day working out so I can show up in shape and prepared to play, do my job. I show up out of shape, injury prone, anything. I need to be able to fund this. I have to go to the gym. I have to pay for a gym membership. I have rent here. I have bills that I need to pay. It's a tricky deal. It's a nice little paradox that professional baseball minor league baseball has become.
Would you say you're living the dream though, and just in spite of, because there's a one side of it where obviously it's tough, but do you think at the end of the day, you'll look back on this and you are living the dream, and obviously still a very good chance of making a major league roster, whether it's the Padres or not, in whatever role, and that automatically boosts the pay up. I mean, huge amounts. $500,000 is a minimum salary there. So I guess, despite all of the troubles right now, would you still consider yourself living the dream?
Yeah. Well, I love what I do. I really love it. It's just when you find like a Twitter troll saying, "Oh, well, if you don't like it, quit." It's not that easy. This is what I do. This is what I've been doing for years. This is my job. This is my career. And, I haven't finished school yet, but I can't go back to school because I don't have the money to be able to pay for it because my career won't provide for that. It's this massive catch-22 in every single angle, but I still wouldn't change it for anything. I love this. I love my job. I love playing baseball. I love playing in front of people. It's fun, man.
Yeah, you made it fun, obviously, last year for the fans. There were some cool things at the ballpark, the jerseys, the videos, and so you definitely brought some attention on the Padres AAA team there. I'm wondering, you haven't played shortstop or second base in the minors, if I'm not mistaken. I saw on the stat line, nothing there. So is this a year where you experiment into those positions, or is this a year where you make the major leagues in a significant way, whether a pinch hitter, get some time at first base, which is more possible in your mind?
Well, the first one, no. The second one, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't even know. We have a whole new front office. I don't know if anyone even knows my name, to be honest with you. I don't know if no one's returned my calls. I don't know I don't know who my bosses are. I'm not going to lie to you. I really don't know anybody. I did speak to our new catching coordinator. Nice guy. I like him. I have literally no idea who's still in my organization. No clue. That's when a new GM comes in, it could be a very big overhaul, but I haven't heard anything. No one talks to me. No one checks in with me. They just assume I'm still alive and I'll be there in spring training.
And, I guess, that's a fair assumption right now. You mentioned that you were drafted in a regime that was then replaced and then replaced again, which brings me to, I guess, the question of what are the Padres doing this offseason? Obviously, since you're in the organization, it's got to be, some excitement there. They're really committed to winning. At the same time, as they're making all these moves, it may limit some of the opportunity. Obviously, they didn't acquire, that next big first baseman. And even a few years ago, they were at a point where they had 5 or 6 very good first basemen. In most organizations, you would be the guy. You're a standout hitter. The power's there, but they were at a position where they brought in Alonso, and they had Blanks, and they had you, and they had a few others. Not to mention even Anthony Rizzo. So the Padres have always kind of had this collection of first basemen. Have what they've done this offseason changed your mindset at all, or are you just excited about some of these moves?
I'm actually very excited about the moves. I think they're both fun and, quite honestly, intriguing. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do next because, those are 3 right-handed power bats. I don't know if that's going to hurt me or not because I'm a right-handed power bat. But those are 3, potential right-handed power bats all playing the outfield, and I don't really think any of them are a center fielder, so I'm interested to see what the plan is, and it's making for a very exciting offseason. As a baseball fan, I'm looking at it like it's great, man. I hope they keep making more moves. I don't know what they're going to do. I've heard literally no rumblings. I hear what you guys hear. I get all my information off the Bleacher Report just like everybody else, and I've never been traded. I've always been with the Padres, and I hope to stay with the Padres because I like the Padres. I liked them. I don't know who's in charge anymore. I'm assuming I'll still like them.
Right.
It's just it's exciting. How it will affect me, I have no idea. I really don't. It could go either way, honestly, because everyone always tells you, well, new regime, new set of eyes, but this is not in no way knocking the previous regimes. This is my 5th GM since I've been here. This is my 3rd owner. It's but once again, not to knock my previous regimes, but I seem to have, mattered a little bit less with each new guy that's come in. And it's not for any fault of theirs or even mine. It's just kind of victim of circumstance. Someone comes in, they got their guys, they have this, they have that, and I just have never really been labeled as anyone's guy. And it's a tricky deal. It's how it'll work out, I have no idea. I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm really excited for spring training and go out there and play with the guys and, get my face out there as much as I can. The whole big league staff knows me. From what I can tell, they seem to like me. They might be lying. I don't know. But I'm excited. I think the moves are good, and I'm interested to see what the rest of the moves are going to be because I know there's they obviously got to make more. It's going to be real hard to fill an outfield with 7 outfielders.
Right.
There's a lot. I mean, just guessing. I can't imagine they're done yet. So as a baseball fan, it's exciting to see.
Absolutely. Now, I'm wondering, it's an odd question to just say because you're obviously a member of the Padres organization, but have you ever thought of the possibility of being a DH for another team, or do you strongly believe in your defense abilities? Obviously, you've shown them in the minor leagues, your fielding percentage, everything is there, but do you think that there may be more opportunities if you were to be that DH on an AL team if that time were to come?
Has it crossed my mind? Every morning when I wake up. Usually.
You get your coffee and you think about being a DH? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't have to put on a glove. Sounds like a nice racket. But no, I actually like playing defense. I'm good at it. I don't, I've always been kind of knocked for it. I don't know why. I can play 5 spots. I can play them decent to well. I like catching. I really like catching. I'd like to do a lot more of it. If someone would just let me. For whatever reason, I am not to be trusted. And I don't know if it's anybody's fault, but it's just, for whatever reason, I haven't ever really gotten a huge opportunity back there. I did have one, this is a true story, I did have one brass guy this was years ago. I don't even know if he's a brass guy. He's not around anymore, but he told me a suggestion after a season. He's like, you know what you should do? This is after my first year at AAA, where I got to AAA. He's like, you should go up to this guy and say, you really want to catch, and you have them send you to high A, and you work your way up. And I just stared at him like, did you? High A, that's where I started my career. My first full season was in high A. It's like, yeah. So you want me to restart my entire minor league career and work my way back up? He's like, it's a good idea. I'm like, that is a terrible idea. Are you kidding? I'm like, this is a joke, right? I just hit 29 home runs. Right. And you want me to go back to high A? No. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to suggest it, just in case they take me up on that suggestion. No way. It sounds awful. But it's just it's a tricky deal. They got guys. They got to figure out what they're going to do with everybody, and I've always been the kind of guy who's had to fight for the playing time I get. Whether it's because when I was drafted, or which regime I was drafted in, or I don't really know everything that goes into it. I'm not privy to these meetings, but that's just part of the game. Yeah, it's not ideal by any means, but it's what you got to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you were talking about kind of the idea that you would start over, and it's not something that actually happens in a way quite frequently with when people switch positions. Someone like Jeremy Barfield went back to lower minors. Some other players in the Cardinals organization switching to catcher, this and that. But yeah, so let's hope that no front office people hear this interview and think of the idea, and all of a sudden light bulbs go off. Because I can't imagine you in single A. I think at this point, you're a Chihuahua, or you're a Padre, or you're a member of another major league team, and you're hitting bombs at the end of the day. Again, 27 home runs last year. There's got to be a spot for you. That's just the logic in my mind. Again, you are probably the most well-known, there's an article about this, well-known person who's also not well-known at the same time. I mean, on Twitter, everyone knows you. You made your way through the minors. You're on Oberman. You're doing pranks. You're keeping it fun. But at the same time, the majority, the mainstream audience of baseball has yet to really indulge themselves in seeing Decker's homers and all of that. So it is going to be something interesting to see moving forward. Now, I'm wondering, now that you kind of had on Jeff's ears go viral, over 1 million views, are you making more money on the YouTube ads than you did in the minors?
I make zero money on YouTube.
Zero money?
Zero.
That's really disappointing.
I don't own the music.
Oh, okay.
There's copyright laws in place, and I tried to use the parody argument, and they told me no.
I was going to say that's a moneymaker right there. I mean, you could 1 million views, some ads on that. That's not bad. But
no, there are ads on it. I just don't get any money off.
Someone is making money somewhere on it. Maybe the bands of
$1 off it. Good for them.
Right. Now I'm wondering, is there expectations involved with the channel, or have you changed? Has the mindset been changed at all now that people have kind of attached to it? Do you feel that you have to put out a new thing every once in a while, or is it the same mindset as before? Anytime I think of something.
If I have something good, I'll do it. If I have something that might be good, maybe I'll do it. It's just I want it to be good. and I'm not looking to outdo myself. I think that's where people can get into trouble. I'm not trying to do what they did in The Hangover. Oh, we did this the first time. Let's outdo it now. It doesn't work. I kind of always want to try and do something a little different. I did the 2 prank videos. Those were both big hits. Brad was different. I wouldn't mind doing a sequel to Brad. I've had something in mind for that for a while. I have a movie idea right now that wouldn't be hard to put together at all. And it's just about my return from Winter Bowl. And there are things. There's a bunch of things I have in mind, but I want to make sure it's at least good. And if it's good enough, it'll motivate me to do it. I think there's ideas there, but right now it's just me banging things around in my head.
Absolutely. Now you did one on the iPhone 6 Plus, I believe.
That was a stupid bit that I just put together in 10 seconds.
I was gonna say, yeah, it was fitting because it really, Apple, putting a tablet, an iPad Mini, got the 6 Plus. I got the 6, and I'm starting to feel kind of bad about it watching that video because I don't know if it's too big in your mind to even have as a phone.
I have the 6 Plus right here.
Oh, so you are okay. So you're poking fun at yourself in a way.
It was just I thought it was funny because it was so big, and I love it. This thing's the best, man.
That's what I'm saying. The 6 I think it's a good size. The 6 Plus is massive.
I got the Plus, and I love it. I just thought it was funny because I did see someone walk around with them like that's literally an iPad. That person into. So I just made the video, and I'm like, oh, hello. It wasn't even a video. It was just a short little gag that I just threw on there because I'm like, I've never thrown a gag on before. Let's do this.
Right. I feel as though you would be fitting on Vine. I know Vine has kind of gotten ruined by younger users of it, but you're talking about 6-second clips. I
have a Vine. I just put it together. I put it together right before I left for Mexico, and I made like 3 videos. I feel like it's lazy. That's why I don't really buy into it too much. I feel like if I'm gonna make a video, I'm gonna make a full-on video. Nothing against knocking on Vine, but like you said, it seems like every time you put on Vine, there's nothing good on there anymore. It's
been ruined. It's been ruined.
But it's a cool idea. It's just I'm not big on it yet. Maybe I'll convince myself otherwise. But I have like 4 Vine videos, one of which I think is funny. The other ones are
Yeah. Most of the Vines are. Now, Oberman categorized you better than Scorsese. The ability there, obviously. Now, we talked earlier, and you mentioned something about you're going to go to a Q&A session, and Christopher Nolan is going to be there about Interstellar. Would you consider yourself almost to his level? I know Scorsese, you above Scorsese. I agree with him there, but are you getting to that point, or do you think this Q&A you'll absorb so much information where you could get to his level moving forward?
I think I'm close, and here's why. Where his movies make $1 billion every time he releases a film.
Right.
I get paid $900 every 2 weeks to play AAA baseball. So I think he's feeling me nipping at his heels.
Right. It's there. It's there. He should be scared.
I'll let him know in a couple of nights. Like, hey, I'm on you. Get ready.
That's a message to him at the Q&A for sure. Now, before we get into the movie talk, because obviously there'll be plenty of that, including Christopher Nolan's, I'm wondering throughout the season, I would see photos of kind of these cool suits. I'll say that interesting suits. I'll say that. And first of all, the one that you wore on Oberman. Do you just have a massive suit collection? Are you putting most of your money into suits, or are you finding this at kind of thrift shops? What was behind these suits?
Combination of a lot of things. Weddings. I've been in a few weddings. Each wedding I had to get like a different suit. Suits that I've just had lying around. Thrift shops. Bought a few ascots, bow ties, anything obnoxious I bought. And how it all started was my manager, who I love and dear so and cherish, Pat Murphy.
Patty boy.
Set a rule for travel days, and we fly in travel days in PCL, and the rule was collared shirt, leather shoes. It said specifically leather shoes. I said, okay. So I bought some leather PF Flyers, totally adhering to his rules. He said, you can't do that. You can't do that. I'm not allowed. I'm like, yes, I can. The rules are this. These are leather PF Flyers. They're leather. I win.
You won.
And it kept irritating him so much that I kind of one-upped him that he finally just said, if you don't take those things off and wear some regular dress shoes, I'm going to fine you $200. I'm like, you can't do that. I'm following your rules. I'm following the rules. Until finally he got someone with the Padres to call me as he sat in the room just with this huge grin on his face, like,
no.
They told me, he's like, Deck, if you don't do it, you're fined this much. And I just looked at Murph, like, really, Murph? He's like, uh-huh. I'm like, all right, fine. I look at Murph, I'm like, you really want to do this? He's like, oh, yes, I do. Okay.
Wow.
So I went to the store, bought some obnoxious shoes, and I found basically like this borderline pimp store in Sacramento that sold these obnoxious purple gator shoes and blue gator shoes for like $10 each. I'm like, oh, this place is my jam.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and bought a bunch of those, and the outfits are. I always want to do something a little different, some sort of matchup. I'm kind of out of matchups now, though. I think I got to come up with a new iteration on how to make it work this next year. Because this is
the best worst outfit you wore on the road. I mean, all of them were incredible, but I guess worst would be the wrong word. They're all incredible. So what was the best outfit you wore on the road then?
My favorite was, I have this navy blue suit. I wore it for it was 4th of July, so I wore a navy blue suit, red bow tie, bright red bow tie, bright red vest, red hat. And I had this same beard that I have right now. It was about this length. I swear to God, if you saw me and I had sunglasses on, I looked like Macho Man Randy Savage. I looked like the Macho Man. And I saw photos. I'm like, holy hell, I do look like the Macho Man. That's awesome. Always wanted to look like Randy Savage. That's sweet. Former minor league baseball player, by the way, played 2 years. Randy Papa.
Randy.
You're welcome for that little tidbit.
Now, I'm wondering, when you're talking about the suits, trying to figure out what works for next year, what are the best and worst trends that you are noticing? Obviously, you're out L.A., you got to see some of the hipsters there. It's a different kind of counterculture there. Do you like the jogger pants you're seeing? Are selfies up there for kind of the worst trends, or maybe a certain kind of selfie where girls will put a serious quote, like a duck face? I mean, what are you noticing this past year in kind of good and bad trends that stand out?
Trends are exactly that. They're trends. The one trend I don't like the new guy haircut where it's like really short on the sides, but then like this one spot here just gets long and everybody's slicking it to the side. I hate it. I think it's atrocious on everybody. Maybe it's just because I can't do it because I have kind of curly hair, but I don't like it. I think it's a bad trend. I think we're going to look at each other, look at this 20 years from now and be like, oh my God, like how we look at Vanilla Ice's hair back then.
Right.
That's how we're going to look at this.
Fair enough. They actually did a hipster spoof of American Psycho where everyone had that haircut in skinny jeans and they were all making coffee, and it kind of does some of the generation well in that sense. What are some other, I guess, bad or good trends in your mind? I feel like I cut you off there.
I don't mind selfies, because I find an opportunity to make selfies at least kind of funny. No other bad trends, there's except for bad music. I mean, there's a lot of bad music out there. But trends, nothing really coming to mind. Anyone that thinking Nicki Minaj has talent is a bit rough.
Is that the kind of the bad music trend you're talking about? Or are you talking about kind of some of the EDM that's coming out? I mean, what do you pinpoint as kind of the worst music in this past year?
Everything's just so processed, and I mean, I think Nicki Minaj is a great example of just this processed music that's not even really music. That took 14 writers to put together these ridiculous lyrics. I mean, I remember there was this one great little thing where it showed all the lyrics of this one of Bohemian Rhapsody, and next to it was like a song by Beyonce, and it said underneath 14 writers, and it was just a repetitive song. It was the worst lyrics of all time. It just said 14 writers. Underneath Bohemian Rhapsody, one writer. You know, that I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like everything's over processed, over managed. Too many cooks in the kitchen. You
Too
know,
many cooks.
too many cooks.
That's.
Too many cooks.
I think that was Walter and Jesse's problem too in Breaking Bad. You add all these different cooks, and it's too big of a scale. Just stick to what you know. 98% pure meth. Walter White, stick there. When you get away from that, to process. I agree with you there. Now, I wonder, have you had any naysayers to some of these prank videos? I know some people say it's a distraction. The manager's in it, so it's not. What can you say to the naysayers, if there are any? I don't think there's tons, but that view this as some sort of distraction to AAA baseball.
You're stupid. That's what I said. You're stupid. If you think this is a distraction or unprofessional, then you're a stupid person, and your opinion is not valued by me, and it shouldn't be valued by anybody else, because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's like there are some people out there who think after my game's over, I should go home and work on my swing at my apartment for the next 3 hours. I work on my stuff at the field. I get to the field every day at noon, and I do my work. What I do on my free time is my free time, man. I'm not going to sit around and worry. Like, does everybody go home from their job and sit around and panic about their job all night? Does anybody? I mean, do people actually do that? I don't want to. Yeah, and you know what? The ball players that do that, it shows on their faces, man. You gotta leave the game at the field and go home and live a life as best you can, because this is not an ordinary life. It's not an ordinary system. I mean, Major League Baseball has kind of marketed players over the past like 30 years, 40 years, as 100 years as these larger than life demigods. You know, Babe Ruth wasn't a man; he was a legend. Just while he was alive,
Right.
Every ball player is a person, and I feel like the human aspect of Major League Baseball has kind of been removed, which kind of bothers me. No one looks at a player as a human being. They look at him as a demigod, or they look at this guy as stats, as these numbers define him. That's actually a person doing a job. He's having hopefully he's having fun, but it's. I never liked that the human element of baseball has been kind of removed and kind of not even acknowledged. I make a couple of movies that kind of introduce a human aspect to it and shows you what we actually do, what we're actually up to. We need to have fun. We need to do something to occupy our minds, because if you sit around just thinking about baseball 162 days in a row, you're gonna struggle to not put a gun in your mouth.
Right.
I mean, this is a game where you're.
Well, yeah, that's what it was. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. But I was saying the people that are going home and thinking about this. I mean, those are the people that are probably going to have stress-related heart attacks in 20, 30 years. I mean, it's not healthy to do that. You got to have the separation there. But when you're looking at the baseball movies, and this is something that I think has been lacking in Hollywood. You're Out, LA, Moneyball was great. I think we can all agree to that. Jonah Hill in a dramatic role was just as great. But when you're talking about movies that you remember, Remember the Titans, all these movies, a lot of them aren't baseball related. And I know MLB Network has this Bleacher feature. They're kind of the same movies. They recycle out. I think baseball needs some new representation. Now, your videos have shown the kind of more human element. I think as a baseball fan, that's something that has been lacking. You don't see the transparency of what's actually happening. My favorite thing in these World Series DVDs would be the behind the scenes and the celebration. Those things really stood out, in addition to the awesome moments, of course. But what you see behind the field is really kind of maybe not everything, but like a lot of it would be entertaining for fans to kind of get to know the player.
The real story is not on the field. The real stories are what's going on behind the scenes half the time. There are things going on. People have lives, and the fun stuff is, a lot of the fun stuff is happening in the clubhouse. It's nothing crazy. It's not like nonsense and everything. It's just people have their routines. You see guys get on each other about each other's routines. You see guys playing pranks on each other. You see, see guys talking about the game, talking the game. We go in the cage, and I'll go in the cage with like Jason Lane, and we'll sit there and we'll talk hitting. We'll just break down hitting from a a mental standpoint. We'll talk about it on a physical standpoint. It's the game within the game. That's a huge portion of the game. And I feel like the curtain's never really lifted to show that much of it. Sometimes it is, but I feel like it's just very, here's a tiny little taste. And maybe they see it as like, well, that's a rite of passage, that's just for us. I'm like, well, maybe it shouldn't be.
Right.
Maybe people should see what we're like, what we do.
Right. That's what's missing. I mean, I can foresee in the future an HBO series, a comedy series about minor league baseball life, or even Major League Baseball life, and you directing it, producing, editing it, writing, acting it, just like you've been doing with Anti-Hero / Daylight Films. You're going like this. Is there something in the works that we don't know about yet?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's just listen. As of now, let me put it this way: there's absolutely nothing in the works, but a couple of discussions and a couple of conversations have happened with some people.
Okay.
Will it turn into anything? Probably not. But
this is it. Breaking news. Nothing has happened, but something has happened.
Absolutely nothing except for a conversation and a couple of meetings. That's it.
That's it. That's kind of. I mean, okay, it's not earth-shattering, but that's also before a free agent is signed. You hear, hey, we've had conversations, and somehow that is news. So I would treat this as nothing. Nothing but something.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it really is nothing. But there has been conversations. That's all.
Okay.
And hopefully the conversations will turn into bigger conversations. Because
You're banking on it.
No, I wouldn't say I'm banking on it. I'm just it's something I would really like to do.
I think fans would love to see that as well. I will leave it there. It reminds me, though, when I thought about it, the Silicon Valley show that just came out on HBO. Taking certain cultures that no one really knows about and putting it in. I mean, you know about it, but you don't know about it. And, using that kind of language, the lingo and all that. There's kind of the accounts that are like baseball players say, or those YouTube videos that are like all about, what a Mac user would say versus a PC user. That kind of, putting that into a show would be very interesting. So I guess that erases my question of will you be directing a baseball-related movie to bring back the fans of baseball, to really up the game for baseball movies in Hollywood. I feel like it's been lacking.
I think it's been very lacking. And the reason why it's been lacking is just the lack of realism. Everything's kind of forced. There's some stuff there. But I feel like it's been missing. And it's hard to tell a good story about an athletic team because you've seen it. How do you do it? How do you take something that you've known for 200 years and make it new? That's the question. And I think I have an answer to it.
We will see if something comes out of nothing, which had something. I don't even know how to word it. But do you think that sabermetrics, in a way, has taken that out of? What's up?
Coming in 2021. Make something.
Something. Or nothing. Maybe something. Conversations, yes. I'm wondering, though, if sabermetrics have added anything to the kind of the perception that you were talking about earlier of baseball players are robots, what they do behind in the character means nothing, and it's all numbers, numbers, numbers. In some ways, I think it has drawn younger fans to the game because it's kind of, or different, I guess, not really sport fans to the game of other sports, but just for baseball for that purpose. Do you see some of that?
A little bit. I mean, that's another thing that might contribute a little bit to the lack of the human aspect of the game as well. But you need the numbers. I think the numbers are important. You do need the numbers, and to ignore the numbers, to ignore the sabermetrics of the game would just be foolish. You need it. But I'll take 3 players that are better teammates over 3 players that are better, just slightly better sabermetrically any day. Right. There's a lot to that. But it can't be quantified. It can't be. It's an intangible. You can't quantify it in any way. How could you? It's just you got to take a group of 25 guys and make a winning team out of them. Can't always be with the numbers. If that was the case, the Dodgers really should have won the World Series the last 3 years, And it's not that the Dodgers aren't great. The Dodgers are great. But, the Giants have won 3 World Series in the last 5 years without a team of real superstars. Good, all great players. With the exception of maybe like Buster Posey and a couple of the pitching staff. Are they really a bunch of superstars accumulated like how the Yankees used to do it? Yeah. They're good players. And they got they just have this niche together. Red Sox a year ago. Was that a team of superstars? I didn't think so. I just thought it was the right team. The Royals this year, not a team of superstars, just really good ball players that played together just properly. But you can't quantify it, so I think that's why it's hard. But the one thing you can't quantify is the numbers. So, I think it definitely has a massive place in the game, as it should. But I do think it may have contributed to people not seeing baseball players as people,
Right. I agree. No, it's funny because you think about Skip Schumacher doing this every at bat. You can't quantify that. You can't quantify things like that. But it adds to the game, adds to the story. My thing is, it doesn't have to be mutual exclusive though. You can have the storytelling like what you wish to do, which may or may not happen. Conversations may or may not have happened. Nothing, but something could be there. At the same time as focusing on the numbers and everything else, they should be working together to create that balance. Unfortunately, I'm not sure we've seen that.
I think you see there's more of it going on than you think. I think behind the scenes, I think it's a combination of both, more than we'll ever be privy to, because we're not in the meetings that the GMs and the assistant GMs and the managers are really talking about. I have no idea what's going on. I really don't. And I think there's more to it. These are smart guys. And a lot of guys have been around for a lot of years, and they know. They know when a guy's, they know when a guy is a good guy. They know when a guy's, a piece of shit. And clearly, I'm a piece of shit.
I was going to say clearly to agree with you, because I've been agreeing with you all the time, but I feel like that would be somewhat offensive. But I think you're onto something with them doing that more than us as fans. Daniel Descalso, perfect example. He got a 2-year, $4 million contract. The guy's barely hit in the past few years, but he's been on winning teams. He seems like a go-getter. And that might just be marketplace over anything else, but I think the good teammate definitely plays into it. Now, moving on to, I guess, some more interesting subjects. I feel like I might have cut you off again, and somehow it didn't pick up your audio there. No worries about it. There's a question from a fan on Twitter about what is your favorite TV show or your best TV shows this year? We'll obviously get into movies, but have you put a lot of time into watching TV, or are you just all of a movie guy?
Oh, I watch a lot of TV shows, especially during the season. During the season, I knock out usually a bunch of series. I just started Broadchurch, so I will not be able to give a review of that yet. Doctor Who is my favorite TV show.
Okay.
The best show of all time. The other best show of all time to me is Arrested Development. Breaking Bad, obviously, is great. But my favorite shows, I'd have to say my top 2. I got to go Doctor Who, and I definitely got to go House of Cards. I think those 2 shows are, because Doctor Who, you got the fun, the whimsical, you got everything you could ever want in a show. House of Cards, you just have this brilliant show, brilliant writing, great acting, just everything about it is just perfect. And, it's a lot like how Breaking Bad did it, Walter White is a terrible human being. Yet you can't help but root for him. Because you just can't help it. You shouldn't be doing it, but you do it. Frank Underwood, so much more, and I know what he's doing. The entire series, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to destroy everyone.
Right.
And I can't wait to watch him do it. To make a show about a bad guy and make us like it I think that's a rare talent.
Absolutely. I agree with you on House of Cards. I have never, and there's a confession, I've never seen Doctor Who. Never got into it. House of Cards, unbelievable, and I know, and plenty of other shows as well. I am scared to go any further, not knowing Doctor Who. But
don't worry. It's a show that if you start watching on Netflix in 3 days, you're going to be on season 4.
Okay.
It's just addicting, and it's the nerdiest thing you can watch. It's the nerdiest show. There are nerds, and then there's Doctor Who nerds. And I'm a Doctor Who nerd, so I'm the worst of the nerds.
The worst of the nerds. So, okay. Now, it's a real nerdy show, unlike kind of Big Bang Theory, which is just a complete fake nerd show. I don't know
Yeah.
how that show is popular. I really don't. I don't understand it.
I don't know, I just feel like they've got a niche market of being nerdy now is cool. And
Right.
I don't like that because I've been a nerd my whole life, and now all of a sudden it's a cool thing.
You don't want to be cool. That's the thing.
You're fakers. You were not on the boat. Don't try and hop on my boat now just because you're sinking. I don't think so. This is just because the Titanic of cool kids is sinking, and I'm on my lifeboat of nerdiness. You can't climb on my boat.
There's not enough room.
I don't want not nearly enough room, and I don't want you tipping me over.
With the fake nerd stuff. Interesting stuff. Now, are you a fan of some of the HBO series this past year? True Detective, their season 2 now that Vince Vaughn and Colin Farrell, interesting casting there. Veep, some of those other shows. Are you kind of sticking with the Doctor Who House of Cards, which a new season is coming out in February?
Yeah. I absolutely loved True Detective. I thought it was great writing, good acting. I'm not a big Boardwalk Empire fan. I liked it, but I wouldn't say I loved it. If we're going with shows like, I'm going to miss the Colbert Report more. I'm going to miss almost anything.
Right.
Last Week Tonight with John Oliver is, I think, the best late night talk show in the world. I could sit down and watch a South Park episode anytime. There's a lot of options. I love good TV shows. I mean, TV is kind of replaced. It's like so weird how everything's so cyclical. It's like replaced movies as the medium for creative property now, and now movies are kind of falling in the back burner when it comes to creative property. Because cable, digital outlets, everything's allowing people to do such more groundbreaking type things that you can't really get away with in the movies anymore. So I think it's kind of awesome.
No, I completely agree. I think obviously these platforms such as Netflix and HBO Go and all these other ones have really brought the spotlight of some of these TV shows, reclamation projects of some of these actors. I mean, Colin Farrell, he's got to be banking on True Detective because he's had a really, in some ways, a rough career going back and forth there. And Vince Vaughn. I mean, the guys that they're bringing out of the shell to star in these TV shows a few years ago, it would have never been a thing. But now the spotlight is on them. It's interesting to see how that has shifted. When you're talking about some of these platforms, I got to get your comment on a movie that almost, in some ways, doesn't really deserve much talk because I think the movie didn't look good to start off with. I think it was. I still don't know if I want to even really see it. It should be entertaining, but not really funny. The Interview somehow has brought everything Americans want, a reason to watch a movie, the passion to say go America and watch it, but still maybe not the best movie. What are your thoughts on the Interview, and are you actually going to watch this thing?
I saw it on Christmas Day.
You liked it?
I liked it fine. It was funny. It was funny. It was stupid as hell. It was funny.
Okay.
I liked it better like This Is the End. I hated This Is the End.
Really?
Yeah, I hated it. I didn't think it was funny at all.
The first half wasn't funny, or was it just for me? The first half was hilarious.
Like, hey, let's get together because we're all famous and make it the dumbest thing in the world, and they did, and it also wasn't funny. I mean, except for scenes Danny McBride was in, those were all genius.
Those were absolutely genius. Yes.
But outside of that, I liked it fine. It was fine. I'll never see it again. It wasn't like the end-all be-all of comedies. But I think the whole concept of the movie being taken out of theaters the way it was sets a really terrible precedent that I really thought was horrifying. And I'm very, very glad they released the movie. Very glad. Because I think that's a terrifying notion that, the concept of freedom of speech is just knocked out like that.
Right.
Out of fear. I mean, you can't do that. That's ridiculous. And the movie is not, it wasn't exactly
what you expect.
It wasn't like it was complimentary to the Supreme Leader, but it wasn't as harsh on him as you'd think.
Wasn't a Team America. That's a funny thing. They targeted this movie. It's like, listen, there's been movies way worse at you, and now there's going to be plenty more to go along with.
Maybe because this one was live action.
I guess that's what it was. Maybe they didn't like Seth Rogen. Maybe it's a laugh. I don't know what it does. It was odd how they really targeted this, but definitely would have set a very scary precedent, no doubt there. I'm wondering, last Christmas you had Wolf of Wall Street come out. I saw it Christmas night. a bit awkward to see with my dad. Luckily, he was in the back, and I chose the front row. I felt like this year of movies, though, was just a bit disappointing. Whether it was lackluster, big blockbuster hits or sequels or something that I also used to criticize how all Hollywood is sequels and comic book things, but in a way, I would rather have that than what I've seen this year, which I just not too much. Interstellar stands out, but I feel like this year was lackluster.
I loved Interstellar. The blockbuster season was not as good. I mean, you had Transformers 4, which was embarrassing. Yeah. Spider-Man 2, which really was just not what it should have been. I think it had aspects that were actually very good and kind of overlooked. But I think you got 18 villains in there. You're trying to do too much in one movie. I mean, what else came out this summer? I didn't like Godzilla at all. I really liked Days of Futures Past, though, the new X-Men movie. I really liked it. Guardians was great. But you're right. During the summer, it was a very lackluster summer. But to be fair, we're all going to be granted a very nice treat coming, next year. Next year is a big movie year. And actually now, I always look forward to Christmas time every year because those are where the best movies come out. Birdman, the Imitation Game, Interstellar was a month ago, but it was phenomenal, and I'm going to see it again this week. I'm really excited. But to know that Star Wars is coming out next December makes me super excited. I might go dressed up in costume.
Well, you better. I feel like that's almost a given, no? I mean, what do you think of the new lightsaber, too?
In fact, I think I might, instead of wearing suits this next year, I might just dress up as Han Solo in every single road trip. I think that's what I'll do.
I think that's the right way to go at it. I have to comment, though, on the lightsaber change. I saw Colbert did a bit on it, and obviously Colbert's show leaving. I got to say congrats to the guy for making it. It gives a lot of credibility to Comedy Central to have him, replace David Letterman and all, but I can't stand the fact that he's going to be out of character for now. I mean, he doesn't seem like that. I mean, he's a funny guy naturally, of course, but out of character, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's other guys, there's other guys that could have done that job. You can't do the Colbert Report, though. That's just...
I think he's so talented that he may just accidentally reinvent late night. The whole concept of late night TV. I think he's that talented. For instance, he created this genius niche of that character, but he's been playing that character for 9 years.
Right.
It was probably time. I think he was probably tired of it, and I wasn't. I could go another 10 years watching that character. Okay. And I'm disappointed that the Colbert Report's ending, but if you actually remembered him on the Daily Show beforehand, he didn't have that character. He wasn't that character. He was, he had these amazing bits like This Week in God on the Daily Show. It was hilarious. But man, he really found his way in the Colbert Report, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to possibly reinvent late night television. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really good because I'm not a huge Fallon fan.
You are.
It's not nothing personal. I think he runs a good show. He's very adorable.
Just not your type.
But I don't personally find Jimmy Fallon that funny, and it's honestly not a knock on him. I think he's extraordinarily talented. It's just, it's his show to me isn't a comedy show. It's a variety show, and it's a good variety show. Yeah. But I don't want a variety show. I want to watch a comedy show. Right. And I think that's what Colbert is going to bring to the table. I think he's going to kind of change the game. And I was really excited when they announced him. The only thing I was heartbroken because he's no longer going to be playing Colbert anymore.
Right. That's definitely hard to get over. I've always been kind of more of a Jon Stewart guy. I don't know why I never got really into Colbert until more recently, when you realize the natural resource of that character could be diminishing as he goes to Letterman, and I kind of got more into it. I appreciate his character more, but I think Jon Stewart, can do I think he can do more for the country's polarization with the media. I think he does a better job in some aspects of really pointing out the obscurities. I don't know.
Yeah, he gets the opportunity to be himself and actually, speak, not in a character, but, put his own spin on things where, Colbert, everything he was doing was tongue-in-cheek, tongue firmly planted in cheek and doing it via character. I love both shows. I really do. Oh. And I can't wait to see it. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be something. It might be something I've never seen before, which I'm excited about.
Right, and then last week tonight also corresponded with the Daily Show, and when he went to film Rosewater, Jon Stewart took over for 3 months and then gets the HBO gig. And I agree with you. I haven't actually seen the full episodes yet. I finally just got HBO, but the bits on YouTube, incredible how he takes the big issues and makes it comedic. To talk about the death penalty in an entertaining fashion, or civil forfeiture.
He takes up huge. He takes issues you don't even realize are huge going on right now, and.
Right.
You kind of like, wow, I didn't even know this was happening because it's not even being reported on. And so I really like it. I love the show.
And honestly, I think that's something that it's harder to do on a scale of baseball because there's not as much to talk about. But there's a lot of issues in baseball that you see these stories of why the percentage of blacks in baseball has diminished, cut in half in the past 20 years. What's behind that? Or marijuana in baseball, where does that belong? Is it certain things, certain parts of the rules that can actually increase a player's chance of getting on from being caught with marijuana? There's a story that came out about that. I'm sure there's plenty of stories that are not being told in the baseball world. So it would be interesting to see if a show like that comes out of the notch, because it just doesn't exist right now. We're seeing the media landscape for baseball kind of just the same as always, and a lot of new Twitter reporters, that is for sure. But I will say, moving forward here, the biggest movie next year, without a doubt, is not Star Wars. It is James Bond.
Listen, I'm a massive Bond fan, but if you're going to sit here and have the balls to say that it's not Star Wars, you're insane. Come on.
Okay, if it's not the box office, Star Wars will obviously win. Okay, fair enough. It's obviously the biggest movie. Star Wars. There's more anticipation behind it, of course, for bringing it back. The question is, so what are they doing with the lightsaber? And was J.J. Abrams the right guy to direct it?
I think so. I think he was the right choice. But I will agree with you that I cannot wait for Spectre. I cannot wait. Oh my God, I'm so thrilled to see a James Bond movie in my day and age where he's battling Spectre. I can't wait to see Blofeld. I can't wait to see this movie.
Yes.
It's just, Sam Mendes came back again, which I'm very happy about. I'm very excited for what's about to take place.
I agree. And you know what? The production budget on this thing I've heard it's going to be $300 million. They're spending $60 million on a shoot in Rome alone, just with some car chases. I think the scale of this thing, introducing Spectre, I can't even imagine the places that this movie will be sent to. It's going to be masterful in that sense.
It's harder, isn't it?
What's up?
It's supposed to be setting up for the next movie too, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I'm just curious the layers that they're going to have. These villain layers.
I want 2 movies with Spectre. I mean, that's the Connery days. This story going on, but this interweave. This was before sequels, man. You're telling one interweaving story through a period of 6 movies, and it's not even the main story until it becomes the main story. But it didn't become the main story till you only live twice.
Right.
You Blofeld's face when it was Donald Pleasance until that movie. Every time you just see this body stroking a cat, except for Goldfinger, which Spectre was never mentioned in.
Right. I'm curious whether they should have done the Spectre thing at the start of Craig's days instead of wait till now. I mean, I get the journey. They introduce him as the young Bond, much more rough, more realistic in some senses with this modern day. And I obviously Casino Royale, huge fan. Quantum, just awful, and Skyfall in its own was a masterpiece.
Like I'm in the minority on this one. I didn't think Quantum was awful at all. Actually,
Really?
I liked Quantum. I mean, I just think you can't compare it to Casino Royale.
No.
Which is a far superior movie. But I thought Quantum had some good stuff to it. I thought they went in some interesting directions, especially artistically with some shots. I think they did something new with it, and I think at some points they got a little ahead of themselves in it. I don't think the audience was really prepared for. And I liked where the story went. The only thing I didn't like, I thought it was a weak villain.
I agree. I think that's part of the reason why I don't like the film is not only did you see Bond in a different light where he his friend died and he almost didn't even care. He puts him in like the trash or something. Takes his wallet and leaves. I understand a ruthless Bond, but it took it to the next level. There was no mention of the martini. There was no mentions of the old classic Bond. It was a great action movie, is how I would describe it, but it did not feel like a Bond movie at all. Watching it, great action movie.
Bond movie, but I thought they went in some directions that I was not expecting, and they showed an aspect of filmmaking that I've never seen in a Bond movie. I thought it was a bold move, and I thought it was better than people made it out to be. I mean, it got like a 64, 65 on the tomato meter. It's just the only difference is, you come off Casino Royale, which was borderline a flawless movie.
Right.
And then you got Skyfall. I mean, when it comes to a Bond movie, it is true, basically. The movie's only as good as your villain. And, Skyfall, you had a great villain. Casino Royale, you had a great villain. Quantum of Solace, I really didn't like the villain. I didn't really feel much about him, And then there was, all the terrible villains that took place during Brosnan's time.
Oh God, Die Another Day, yeah.
Well, you know what? I feel that's unfair. Die Another Day was the only movie he did that I hated, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I think that is the second worst James Bond movie ever made.
Really? What? Yeah. The first being
A View to a Kill. What a piece of shit. And Roger Moore was like 80.
Yeah. Walken was the same age as Walken at that point.
And Walken. I mean, even Walken sucked in that movie.
Yeah, it was.
For Walken.
There's been a culture of very good Bond villains, no doubt. Javier Bardem and obviously Christoph Waltz now, continuing that tradition. But there was also a period of time where even Tomorrow Never Dies. I rewatched that the other day. I mean, I like the time. I like the movie, but the villain. I mean, the lines that he was saying, it was about just like news media taking over. I mean, yeah, it's a bit some more realistic than others, but I don't know. The villain just came off really dumb at times, for sure.
Yeah, a little bit of twirl your mustache type character. But that's kind of how those movies were starting to go. His movies were starting to get campy, and then with that, Tomorrow Never Dies was a little campy, and then they go into The World Is Not Enough, where he got a little harsher. But right. The movie was kind of lackluster. But by the end, I was just bored, right. Which I should never say in a Bond movie. And then Die Another Day was just pure camp. It was terrible from start to finish. There was not a single redeeming quality of Die Another Day. But you did have GoldenEye, which I loved. I loved GoldenEye. And I thought Timothy Dalton got a bad rap because Timothy Dalton was doing in the 80s what Daniel Craig's doing now. He played the more hard-nosed James Bond that reminded you, by the way, this guy's an assassin. Let's keep in mind who this guy is. And he played it that way, and I guess the audience just wasn't ready for it.
I wasn't ready for it either.
And they are. I mean, I love Living Daylights, and I actually like License to Kill. But I guess maybe it was too harsh of a move because before that you had Octopussy and View to a Kill, where it was just campiness of a very, very old James Bond defusing a nuclear bomb dressed as a clown in a circus, where the whole movie's about a Fabergé egg. What a piece of shit.
Yeah. It's rough. They've gone through obviously some different transformations in the series. I think you might like T. Dalton more because you mentioned you have kind of curly hair. T. Dalton's got that kind of going for him too. I'm just not a T. Dalton guy. Daniel Craig is a guy right now. Maybe that will change depending on the new Bond, as there was rumors of the first black Bond before Rush Limbaugh, of course, went off about that. Idris Elba there, he responded to that pretty funnily. But we'll see. I mean, these guys will be older. Daniel Craig's got 2 more movies left. We'll see where the franchise takes it.
I'd actually like to see Idris Elba play the part. I really would. I think he'd be really good. The only problem is there's 2 movies that are got to happen before that. How much older is Idris Elba going to be?
Right.
That's the only thing. Outside of that, I would love to see him. Oh, by the way, there's a show, Luther. I love Luther.
Yep.
Idris Elba and Luther, is so good. He was great on The Wire. He's great in everything he does.
So in that situation, it might be one of those things where they film 2 movies within like 2 years to make sure he doesn't age too much, or even just do like a one movie. I just don't see him as a franchise Bond where it's, it might be like a bridgeway into the next Bond because that's really going to be hard to follow up Craig. It's going to be an awkward transition regardless.
They might need to go into a different direction. I don't think it's so much person-wise. I think they're going to need to. It's that same old thing. This character's been around 50 years. How do you take something that's been 50 years old and make it new?
Right. Bring back Rob Moore or Sean Connery.
Sean Connery made an appearance in like 10 years.
That's the thing. They were going to bring him in as the fatherly figure at the end of Skyfall. They were going to bring Sean Connery back, but then the director, decided, we don't want to mix it up too much with the old ones. That would have been interesting to see.
I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, it would have added a very nice classic spin on it. The new Bond car, though, looks fantastic. Now, straying away from the Bond talk, if you want to get to some of the trivia, if you want to burn me, like it happened last time, if you have that prepared, are you still doing the trivia in your area, or was that more of a last option?
I'm in talks to do it for the next month at a place in Santa Monica. Well, more to come soon.
Okay.
I might be as early as next week.
As early as next week. Will we know about the potentially nothing something baseball show as early as next year, as early as next week, or will that be years down the road potentially?
Who knows, man? Never say never. Again.
Never say never again. That was very. But seriously, never say never again. That was not a good one.
How about this? Okay, well, since we're on Bond, we'll go through some Bond trivia.
Okay.
Never Say Never Again was a remake of a Bond movie or remake. What was the Bond movie that they were remaking?
Can I ask a question in the question or no?
I will allow it.
Was it a remake of one happened before in the series, or was this outside of the series, a movie they were remaking?
Oh, they already made the movie. It was in the series.
It was in the series. Never Say Never Again. I'm going to go with Diamonds Are Forever.
No. Never Say Never Again was a remake of Thunderball.
Wow, well that's even more disappointing though, because Thunderball was a masterpiece. So they really screwed that one up. Wow. You know what? Never Say Never Again. That got me.
That was a rough one.
That was rough.
Let's see. Trying to think of something from. Okay. I feel like I'm blanking. I can't believe this.
I feel like I'm going to blank on that question too. I can provide some nice sound effects while we're thinking.
No, I can do this. Perfect.
Okay.
Let's see. What was the name of the villain in Live and Let Die?
You're picking the worst fucking Bond movies. God, okay. Live and Let Die. They're all
that is a very bad Bond movie.
The African dudes with the paint. At the end, they're throwing him in the water with the sharks. What is his name?
His head blows up.
His head does blow up. Why? His name is so not rememberable though.
Kadanga.
I don't know why. I'm gonna add some sound effects while I pretend to think of it.
Let's give you the answer.
I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna make a bold statement here. Idris Elba. Is that close?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
What was the name?
Kadanga.
Manga.
Kadanga. With a K.
Manga. I feel like I'm just gonna strike out on these. I need to practice my secret Bond.
Who sang the unofficial? Well, who sang the theme song for that? We have all the time in the world during the movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh, Oh God, the one who sang. I know the one who sang the Goldfinger one performed at the Grammys. Was it last year or 2 years ago? It's kind of a 50th anniversary type of thing. Hint. How? I mean, is it extremely well known artist or no?
Pretty well known. He's very well known for one very popular song.
Barry. Barry.
Nope.
Now, is his name not Barry? And I think to myself, what's his Barry? I thought it was Barry something. No.
No, John Barry did the scores.
Oh. What is this guy's name? I really thought it was Barry something. I'm striking out here. What is this guy's name? Can I use a phone? Is that allowed?
That's cheating. It was Louis Armstrong.
Ah. I don't trust myself with this, man. This is pathetic at this point.
Major Boothroyd.
Major what?
Major Boothroyd was a character that only showed up for one movie, and it was in Dr. No. Major Boothroyd was then recast in the next movie, which was from Russia with Love.
Yes.
What character became Major Boothroyd?
Major Boothroyd. Was he blonde?
No comment.
Well, then I'm going to go ahead and assume you. What is his name? Something. No, that's Tomorrow Never Dies. Thrasher or something. Robert Shaw plays him if he's blonde.
Nope, not him.
Oh.
Major Boothroyd became the character of Q.
Major Boothroyd? That was his name in the first one?
Hmm?
That is such a bad name. Wow. I'm so glad they changed it to Q.
What kind of gun does James Bond use?
What kind of what?
What kind of gun does James Bond use?
Walter PPK.
That's right.
Good. I had to get something. I had to get a morale booster.
You got that one.
I got
Who
it.
sang the theme song for Tomorrow Never Dies?
Tomorrow Never Dies. How does it go? Can you sing it?
Tomorrow never dies.
Oh, is this the one where they sell out and they have like a really famous but really just bad artist play it?
I actually like the artist, believe it or not.
Okay. Madonna.
Nope, she did Die Another Day.
Ah, I knew they had one. Who does Tomorrow Never Dies then?
Sheryl Crow.
Oh, okay. I should have just. Yeah, I remember seeing the Madonna on one of them, so I assumed it was that. But they really did sell out for Die Another Day. Wow.
Here's a good one for you. In Goldeneye, the theme was sung by Tina Turner, but it was written by what rock and roll superstar? I mean superstar. I mean top 5 bands in the world when it comes to album sales, ticket sales, everything. They released an album this year that came under some controversy.
They released an album this year? Does the band have Eddie Vedder in it?
It does not.
Okay. It makes it a little more difficult. And it doesn't have Mick Jagger in it because they didn't release anything this year.
Whoever this lead singer is, he wrote the song of Goldeneye. Who is it?
I assume this is like as somewhat of a 80s rock band, and I'm not in 80s rock. Am I correct?
They were in the 80s, yeah, and they were very popular in the 80s, but they were also just as popular in the 90s and just as popular in the 2000s.
Just as popular in the 90s, just as popular in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Maybe even got more popular by the end of the 90s and more popular in the 2000s.
Not Bono.
It was Bono.
Yes.
It was Bono.
Bono. All right, my man, saving me. I mean, I had some hints on that, but it still counts as getting it right, yeah?
You nailed it, man.
Okay, awesome. So I've gotten 2 out of 5, 6. That's a solid batting. I mean, it's an all right batting average, above the Mendoza line.
What was What did James Bond name his martini in Casino Royale?
Oh, God, this is... I believe you had a cuss word in it, yes?
Nope.
No? Chicken nuts served. Oh my God, why am I blanking on this? Dirty. No. Oh my God, this is pissing me off. Trivia, man. This is the most frustrating. What did he name his drink? Wow.
He called it a Vesper.
A Vesper. The Vesper Martini.
Yep, named it after Vesper Lynn.
God. Now it sounds familiar, of course. I am 2 for 6, I believe, if I'm correct. That is not awful, not great. 1/3, 333 batting average.
This is not James Bond. We're just gonna nail it out. Tell everyone.
Rapid fire. Let's go.
What movie? In what movie did somebody go to lunch under the name Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago?
Abe Froman. Sausage King. What year did this come out?
80s. Who is Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago?
Is it Ferris Bueller's?
Nailed it.
Bam. I watched that movie for the first time like 2 months ago, and now I know why I did it. It's destiny.
Let's see. Coming off the top of my head, man. Did you ever watch Saved by the Bell as a kid?
No.
Oh, damn you.
Not my era, I guess.
What was the name of the villain on the original Power Rangers?
God. If only I watched Power Rangers. Darth Vader.
No, it was Rita. And then it was Lord Zed.
Okay.
Let's see. Trying to think of a good one for you. Who is the third singer in Van Halen?
Again, not a Van Halen guy, but I will go with. What's the first name? That won't even help. I won't know. Can I say a no guess so I don't sound like even more of an idiot than I already have?
You're not going to get it. It was Gary Sharon, lead singer.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe if I was a little older, I would be able to get some of these. Not to say people of my age don't like Van Halen. I just have never gotten to the classic rock phase too much. Outside of Rolling Stones, some other bands like that, I guess. I don't know. It's a tough sell.
Who played Captain Jack Sparrow's father?
His father? Oh, Jeffrey. Wait. Yeah, Jeffrey Rush.
Nope.
Wait, what? Oh, no. Mick Jagger, the guitarist in it. Keith Richards.
Keith Richards.
Bam. See, I was going to go with him, and then for some reason I thought Rush, and I don't know why. Rush was in those films, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I
Played
thought.
Barbosa.
Yep, okay. So,
Who's the only actor to play 2 different Ohio State quarterbacks in 2 different movies that are completely unrelated?
can you list one of the movies?
No.
No? Would it just give it away then? Ohio State quarterbacks.
But it wasn't about them being Ohio State quarterbacks. They used to be Ohio State quarterbacks.
Oh, I'm going to go Mark Wahlberg then.
Nope. Keanu Reeves.
God.
Keanu Reeves. Shane Falco played in The Replacements. He played in the Sugar Bowl for Ohio State.
Okay.
Johnny Utah played for Ohio State in the Rose Bowl in the movie Point Break.
Point Break. Jesus. Okay.
Congratulations, Utah.
Utah. That is a obscure question. Keanu Reeves, I have never seen a sports film with him. I just assume Mark Wahlberg because of Invincible or whatever that movie was called. I think it was good soundtrack there. Any more trivia, or is it? That's got to be hard to come up with on the spot, though.
No, I'm just trying to think. What is the most expensive music video ever made?
Oh, God.
What artist made the most expensive music video ever made?
I gotta just guess Michael Jackson, but that's probably not right.
Michael Jackson.
It was?
And you would never guess which one it was.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's not Thriller, then.
Not Thriller.
It's, well, I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan, so I don't know too many other ones. I got the first part right. I don't have to answer the follow-up. I'm sticking with my answer.
Anything? Not a Michael Jackson fan. Don't like classic rock. Not a fan of the Power Rangers. Never watched Saved by the Bell. Man, you gotta widen your horizons here, man.
I do need to open my horizons.
The answer was the movie. There was a video called Scream. It was him and Janet Jackson.
Scream. Okay. Fair enough. Last trivia question, if you can think of one.
What movie did Brandon Lee film Bruce Lee's son and die in filming?
In filming it? Ooh. What era would this have been?
90s.
90s?
The movie has a massive cult following.
It's not The Room.
Multiple sequels.
Multiple sequels, okay. Was it Fast and Furious? No.
Nope.
No. Okay.
He was the star.
He was the stud?
He was the star of the movie.
I feel like I've seen some of the sequels come out. Not actually seen them, but like seeing that they're coming out. What is it? There's too many random Asian fighter movies that come out. I feel like it's it's that genre.
It was The Crow.
The Crow?
Mm-hmm.
And they've had sequels from this?
Oh yeah. Crow 2, City of Angels. Crow 3, Resurrection, and Crow 4, Wicked Prayer.
The Crow. I've never read it in The Crow.
The sequels are all terrible.
Okay, fair enough. I was going to say cult following. I would say The Room should be the answer to any question regarding a cult following. But
if you want a good bad movie to watch, go on Amazon and buy the movie Megaforce. It's perfect.
Megaforce?
Megaforce. And also buy the movie Miami Connection. Those are two atrociously perfect movies.
Okay. Atrociously perfect. They actually cost money, or you just watch them for free?
I bought them both. I have them in my DVD collections because they're must-owns.
They're must-owns. Okay. Fair enough. Well, unless you got a quick trivia question, I'll let you go because thinking of trivia has got to be a lot of work. I will say that. That's all at the dome right there.
What war caused more American casualties than any war?
You're talking like actual. I mean, you got to go. Civil War makes sense. The war on drugs probably in the top 5. Vietnam was like 60,000 of ours. You're talking about American soldiers or civilians too?
American soldiers.
The obvious would be. I mean, I want to revolutionary.
It was the Civil War.
Well, I was gonna say the Civil War, but I thought it was gonna be a trick question of.
Listen, it was an obvious. I thought it was an obvious answer. I thought I'd give you an easy.
It was an obvious answer, but because it was so obvious, it became a trick question. I thought you were trying to nail me on some sort of fact that no one knows about the war on drugs or something else.
That was the trick. I got you to psych yourself out of the right answer.
I did psych myself out. I said the Civil War, but then I wanted to compliment it just in case it wasn't with the war on drugs. You know, fluff it with World War II a little bit there. Revolutionary War. They all make sense, but yeah, Civil War.
I handed that to you.
You did hand it to me, and I fumbled it. This is why I could never be a baseball player, because I would just fumble the ball every time.
Yeah, man.
That's the problem. I don't have the soft hands. That's my problem. But all right, I will let you go after one final request. If you can say that you can do the Fifth Amendment or not. You are an actor. You starred Music Man of your high school production. You had a game and you went to that. In the future, you may be an actor or maybe something out of nothing, a conversation that may or may not have happened. Moving forward, I'm wondering, I'm rocking the Baseball Essential mug today. How do you pretend this is like a bit at the end or beginning of a show where it's like you're watching Baseball Essential. How do you sell viewers to come and watch Baseball Essential? Your best 10-second commercial.
Come listen to an honest and open interview about baseball and things that you wouldn't expect.
Baseball Essential.
It's very simple. It's a solid deal. It's an honest interview, and you don't get very honest interviews where you sit around and you give the cliche answers. Just honest, open discussion. It's more or less a discussion. It's not even an interview. It's just
right.
Open, honest discussion filled with opinions, and showing a different side of baseball players.
Exactly. Well, I like to think that's our goal, a multimedia platform for players to reach fans and all of that above. So, again, Cody, thanks so much for joining us today at Decker6. Trivia, maybe next time we'll plan better and I will actually do some studying. The problem with that is he kind of psyched me out. He said, get ready, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know what he's going to ask, so I'm just going to of course it ends badly.
You didn't even get ready, clearly.
I didn't, because I'm not going to be, like, studying every possible – okay, maybe I should next time. I think I owe it to you there to study everything about everything. That's where I went wrong.
Next time I'll give you like a little. I'll give you a preview of what we're going to talk. What I'm going to ask you.
Okay. Because I miss talking about Willow. That is one of the best movies of all time. So, but again, Cody Decker here. Thanks for joining us today, taking time out of your day to do this, and this will be up later tonight on the website, baseballessential.com. Cody, good luck this offseason. Have fun in spring training. Have fun with all the new Padres guys, and we are out. Cody Decker.